Welcome to Sleepy Chronicles. Whatever today brought you, the noise, the rush, the things that didn't go the way you wanted, you can set all of that down now. Lie back, put your headphones in, let your shoulders drop and your jaw unclench. This is your time, and there is nowhere else you need to be. If you enjoy what we do here, quiet voices, slow history, and the kind of stories that make your eyelids feel heavier with each sentence, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It costs nothing and means quite a lot. And let us know in the comments where in the world you're listening from. We read every single one. Tonight, we're going to ancient Memphis, a world where beauty wasn't vanity. It was survival. So get comfortable. We'll take it from here. The room is still dark when you open your eyes, not the soft dark of early morning, but the thick, complete dark that belongs to the hours before the Nile decides to wake. The mud brick wall holds the night's chill. A bird calls once outside and goes quiet. Memphis is breathing slowly, and for a few more minutes, so are you. On the low table beside you, the Kohl jar, small, pale alabaster, worn smooth, where your fingers have held it every morning for 12 years. Your mother placed it there last night, lid slightly loosened, applicator resting beside it. You sit up. Your first obligation is already waiting. Your mother, Iset, taught you the ritual before you were old enough to understand it. You were 3 years old the first time she knelt in front of you and drew the line. You remember the cool pressure of it. Her own eyes already done dark, exact, unwavering. She did not explain why. In Memphis, a woman without Kohl was a woman who had stopped caring about eternity. You open the jar. The smell is faint and mineral, stone and smoke. The coal is ground from Galena, lead sulfide pulled from mines east of the city, sold for more than your household spends on grain in a week. The best quality. Iset has always insisted on the best quality. You have known since childhood what it is called, uaju, that which protects. You learned the word the same morning you learned the shape, the long sweeping line mimicking the eye of Horus, the god whose gaze holds chaos at bay. By the time you were old enough to ask what it meant, you already knew. Armor, not decoration. You have never questioned this. It has never occurred to you to question it, the same way it never occurs to you to question breathing. You finish the left eye. You move to the right. Your neighbor Merritt is not wearing hers today. Iset mentioned it this morning. The way she mentions things she finds quietly catastrophic. Without looking up, voice even. Merritt was at the market yesterday. No Kohl. Her sister says she has been using charcoal. You understood the weight of that word. Charcoal worked, darkened the eye, cost almost nothing, carried none of the risks the physician's papyri hinted at. The trembling hands, the weakness of limb, safe in every way that mattered physically. But you know Merritt. She is not a woman who does things carelessly. If she switched to charcoal, she made that decision the same way anyone makes a decision in this city, knowing exactly what it would cost and choosing to pay it anyway. The market did not care why. It drew its conclusions, and Merritt came home to a husband who did not speak at dinner. Whether Merritt considers that an acceptable price, you do not know. You find you cannot stop thinking about it. Iset sits in the corner where the morning light is best. Her hands rest in her lap. Those hands, you have been watching them for months without saying anything. The way they tremble when she lifts a cup. The way she sets things down with deliberate care, where she once set them down without thinking. She has applied Kohl every morning for 40 years, because that was what her mother taught her. Because the word for it was still protection, even as the evidence quietly suggested otherwise. She has not mentioned the trembling. You have not asked, have you ever stayed silent about something because the cost of speaking felt higher than the cost of staying? You set the applicator down. In the copper mirror, your eyes are finished, dark, precise, exactly as they should be. Memphis is waking around you. Voices in the street, the low sound of the river, bread from somewhere close. You pick up the coal jar and close the lid. Iset's voice comes from the corner, quiet and certain. Your eyes must be ready before the day sees you. You place the jar back on the table. The alabaster is warm now from your hands. The sun is already above the rooftops when you reach the market. Not the gentle light of early morning. That belongs to the ritual, to the room, to Iset's hands, and the jar on the table. This is the full weight of the Memphis morning, pressing down on stone streets, filling the air with dried fish and heated clay, and the faint sweetness of lotus oil from 3 stalls down. You pull your wrap tighter and move into the crowd. The market is loud in a way that has its own rhythm. Merchants calling prices. Children running between legs. You pass them without looking. You know where you are going. You have been coming to this market since before you could carry the basket yourself, when Iset walked beside you, and you learned the route by following her feet. In the small cloth bag at your side, an empty alabaster jar, not the one from the table this morning. That one stays home in its place. This is the spare. It needs filling. The Galena stall is near the back, where serious buyers go. Ka is already there. A broad man, unhurried, with the particular stillness of someone who has stood behind the same table for 20 years. He nods when he sees you. He does not smile, but that is not unfriendliness. The good quality, you say, not a question. He sets down 2 small clay containers, one dark and dense, one slightly lighter, less fine. Same as always, he says, tapping the darker one. Then, with the careful neutrality of a man delivering news he had nothing to do with, price went up last month. Trouble with the roads east of Sinai. You note the number. He quotes the way you note weather. And the other, you ask, meaning the lighter container. Ka's hands rest flat on the table. Large, steady. He has been handling Galena for as long as Iset has been applying it, and his hands do not tremble. But then, he does not wear what he sells. He measures it, wraps it, counts coin for it. The distance between his hands and the product is exactly the distance that keeps them steady. Mixed, he says, works fine, costs less. He does not recommend it. He does not advise against it. You buy the good quality. You are turning to leave when you see Merit. 2 stalls down, her back partly toward you. You recognize her by the set of her shoulders. Then she turns, and your eyes meet across the noise of the market. Her eyes are bare, not just without Kohl, bare in a way that looks deliberate. In daylight, in public, she holds your gaze for exactly 1 breath, and in that breath, you expect something apology or defiance, or the blankness of someone who has made a decision and is not sure they can defend it. What you see is something quieter. She looks rested. You look away first. You do not know what to do with that. On the walk home, you find yourself thinking about Iset's mother, your grandmother, a woman you knew only in her last years, when her hands were already still, not from trembling, but from disuse. She had stopped applying Kohl in her 50s. Iset had mentioned it exactly once, in her even market voice. Her hands made the line uneven, but you had been in this city long enough to know what happened to women who stopped. The way a room shifted when they entered, the way certain invitations slowed, then ceased. The word for it moving through the neighborhood the way all conclusions move quickly, without asking permission. Your grandmother had lived her last decade with very little company. She had not seemed unhappy, but she had been alone in a way that Iset noticed and filed away and never mentioned directly. Iset has always insisted on the best quality. You wonder, walking home, whether your grandmother knew what the trembling meant before it started. Whether Iset knows. Whether knowing changes anything when the alternative has a name. And that name is what your grandmother's final years looked like. You push open the door. Iset is in the kitchen, her back to you, working something in a stone bowl. The slow sound of grinding. You set the sealed jar on the table. You watch her hands. The motion is controlled, deliberate. But in the pause between strokes, the small tremor corrected before it shows. She has been correcting it for months. She is very good at correcting it. Iset does not turn around. Good quality. Yes. The grinding continues. Light comes through the high window and falls across the floor in a pale column. The jar sits on the table between you, sealed, full, ready for tomorrow morning. Nothing was said. Everything was. The temple is already crowded when you arrive. Morning light comes sideways through the entrance columns. Cutting across the smoke from the offering stands in slow coils. Cedar resin, natron, something older underneath that you have never been able to name. Iset walks beside you without speaking, moving through the crowd the way you move through a room you grew up in, without looking, without hesitating. At the entrance you stop and take out the Kohl jar. A quick pass under each eye. The line holds. You seal the lid and put it back. Around you, every woman does the same or has already done it. The priests inside are no different, but their lines are thicker, a different mixture, denser than what Kohl sells on the east side of the market. You file this away without knowing yet what to do with it. You see Merit near the back wall. Her eyes are done lighter than yours, the lines slightly uneven at the outer corner. Not the best quality, but done. When she sees you, she smiles. Not the careful smile of the market. Something easier. You move toward her. I still wear it, she says, before you can speak. I just stopped wearing it for them. There's a difference between those two things. It took me longer than it should have to find it. You look at her eyes. She lets you look. Your grandmother used to stand in that spot, by the east column. Every month, for years, she pauses. And then she didn't. I was young when she stopped coming. I didn't understand it then. The smoke shifts. Someone passes between you. I think I understand it now, Merritt says. You know the year your grandmother stopped. You know what followed. But you have never heard it named by someone who watched from the outside. And something about that, the simple fact of it being witnessed, sits differently than it ever has. Iset calls your name from across the room. You go. Outside, the crowd thins. Temple smoke follows you into the street, caught in your wrap, and Memphis moves around you, a cart, 2 children, a dog asleep in shadow. Iset walks beside you in her thinking silence. At the corner where the street narrows, Iset pauses, barely, half a beat. The hesitation of someone standing at the edge of something already decided. She looks back once at the temple entrance, then forward. You wait until the street quiets. Your hands, you say. How long has it been like this? 3 steps, 4, 5. Since last winter, when the street opens again, something in Iset's shoulders has shifted. Not putting the weight down, but stopping the pretense that it isn't there. Grandmother's hands began the same way, she says. I watched her put the jar away. I watched what came after, the temple, the invitations, the way a room changes when you walk in and your eyes are bare. She stops, just the length of a breath, but you notice it, because Iset does not stop. She was not unhappy. I want you to understand that. But she was alone in a way I have never been able to forget. And I was young enough then to believe it could be avoided if you simply made different choices. She starts walking again. She stopped, Iset says. I watched what stopping cost her. I decided I would pay the other price. No apology. No request for agreement. The shape of a decision made long ago, remade every morning since, never reopened. You say nothing, because Iset is not asking you to say anything. She told you because you asked. That is all. You look at her hands. Right now they are still. The afternoon light catches the knuckles, the deliberate placement of each step. You think about the jar on your own table, the lid you loosen every night, the line you have drawn since you were 3 years old, because Iset drew it first, because her mother drew it before that. You have never called it a choice. Not once. Not until this afternoon on this street, with the temple smoke still in your clothes. You have been making the same decision every morning. You simply never named it. That evening, Iset sits at the kitchen table, the jar open in front of her, preparing for tomorrow. The tremor is there, in the pause between each motion, corrected before it shows. You stand in the doorway. She looks up. The jar sits between you. Neither of you speaks. But this silence is not the same as any morning before this one. Those silences held something back. This one holds something shared, named, set down between you, and left exactly where it is. You stay in the doorway a moment longer. Then you go in. The physician's room is smaller than you expected. One window, high on the wall. A low table with papyrus rolls weighted at the corners. The smell is mineral and clean natron. Something sharp underneath. The dryness of a room where things are measured carefully. You have passed this street 100 times. You have never had a reason to come inside before today. Iset sits on the low bench without being asked. She has not spoken since you left the house, but it is not the silence of reluctance. It is the silence of someone who made a decision some time ago and is simply following it to its end. The cloth bag is at her feet. Inside it, the Kohl jar. The physician takes Iset's hands in both of his and looks at them without speaking, turns them over, asks her to spread her fingers, watches the small, involuntary motion she corrects before it finishes. Then he sets her hands down gently, the way you set down something borrowed. I see this often, he says. Women who have applied for many years. The accumulation is slow. The body does not announce it. He pauses. How long? 40 years, Iset says. He nods, as if confirming something he already knew. The Galena builds in the body. The tremor is the body speaking when it has been quiet too long. It will not improve on its own. He looks at her directly. Some women stop. Some do not. Iset says nothing. There is something else, he says. Some of what is sold in the market is not pure Galena. Mixed with other minerals, the effects are faster, more severe. He pauses. A woman came to me last month, younger than you. She had been applying for 8 years. The mixture she used, I recognized the composition. It is sold on the east side of the market. He does not say the name. He does not need to. You step outside to wait. You are standing in the narrow street when you see Kohl coming out of the building next door, tucking a folded papyrus into his belt. He does not look up until he nearly walks into you. He stops, looks at you, then at the physician's door. The mixed quality, you say. The one from the east stall. Calm meets your eyes with the same flat steadiness he uses for prices, for weather, for everything the market brings that he has decided is not his to fix. Works fine for most, he says. The physician told us about a woman, younger than Iset, 8 years. A pause. He looks at the papyrus in his hand. I know what's in it, he says. I've always known. No apology. No request for absolution. A fact, plainly stated, offered to no one in particular. Then the temple priests don't buy from me. They have their own supply. Different composition. Controlled. He folds the papyrus smaller. I know that too. And you keep selling. I sell what people will buy, he says. And people will buy it. He steps around you and walks back toward the market. His hands, as always, are steady. Iset appears in the doorway a few minutes later. She picks up the cloth bag and joins you in the street without speaking. You walk home. Halfway through the city, you find yourself thinking about Merit. She stopped before any physician told her to, before the tremor started. She calculated the cost, the market's conclusions, the invitations that would slow, and paid it. You have not agreed with her exactly. You have not disagreed either. You have simply not known what to do with the image of her face in the temple. That particular restedness. You think about Iset beside you, each step deliberate. You think about your grandmother, who stopped and was alone. You think about Ka, who knows and continues. You think about the jar on your own table. You are younger than Iset. The tremor has not started. You are, in some sense that feels suddenly and uncomfortably real, still early enough to choose before the choosing is taken from you. But you do not know yet what you would be choosing toward. Merit's ease, Iset's certainty, your grandmother's quiet. None of them feel like yours. None of them feel wrong either. That night, Iset sleeps early. You sit alone at the kitchen table. The Kohl jar in front of you, lid closed, applicator beside it, exactly as it always is. You pick it up. The alabaster is cool, sitting untouched since morning. You turn it in your hands. It weighs what it has always weighed. The mines east of the city, the price Iset paid at the market, all of it still inside, dense and dark, waiting. You set it back down, You leave the lamp burning a little longer than usual. Then you go to bed. The city is still sleeping when you slip outside. Not fully dark. The sky above Memphis has begun its slow change from black to the deep blue that belongs to the hour before anyone has to be anywhere. The streets are empty in the way of early morning, when the city has not yet decided to be itself again. Your footsteps on the stone are the only sound. You walk toward the river. The Kohl jar is in your hand. You did not apply it this morning. You picked it up from the table out of habit, the way you have every morning for 12 years, and then stood there holding it and did not open it. And after a while, you walked out the door with it still closed in your palm. The Nile is low and slow this time of year, its surface the same deep blue as the sky above it. You sit on the flat stone at the water's edge and set the jar beside you and look at the water. You have been thinking about a question for 4 days. Not the question you thought you were asking. Not will I stop. Not should I stop. But the one underneath it, visible only once you knew what Iset knew and watched what merit chose and sat in the physician's room and heard about a woman who had been applying for 8 years. The question is, which price and for whom? Iset answered it 40 years ago. She watched her mother become alone and decided loneliness was the heavier thing. And every morning since she has paid accordingly. You have watched her pay it, the hands correcting the tremor before it shows, setting things down with deliberate care, managing the weight of her own decision one day at a time. She has not complained. She simply made a choice and has been living inside it long enough that it fits her the way old cloth fits, shaped to the body, entirely hers. Merit answered it differently. She calculated the same costs and arrived at a different number. She separated the thing from what it represented to other people and kept only the part that was hers. You do not know how long that took. You suspect it was not quick. Your grandmother answered it a different way still. She stopped. She was alone. She found a quiet in it that neither Iset nor Merit found. And whether that quiet was peace or resignation, you will never know. You pick up the jar, cool in your hand, the same weight it has always been. The lid is slightly loosened. You did that last night before bed, the way you always do, the way your hands did it without asking your mind. 12 years of the same gesture. The body remembers what the mind is still deciding. The sky lightens. The river moves. Memphis begins its first sounds behind you, a door, a voice, the low movement of a city that does not stop for anyone. You stand up, you walk home. Iset is in the kitchen when you return, sitting with her hands in her lap, still in the way of someone who woke and found you gone and has been waiting. She looks at your face, then at the jar, then your face again. You set the jar on the table. Beside it, the small paper of Galena from Kohl, the best quality. You look at it. Iset looks at it. Neither of you says anything, because there is nothing to say that you both do not already know. You pull a chair close to hers and sit down. Iset watches as you reach across and open the jar. You take the applicator. She understands before you speak. You can see it in the way her shoulders release something they have been holding without knowing they were holding it. She turns toward you slightly, the way she turned you toward her when you were 3 years old. Her hands rest in her lap. You do not ask her to move them. You begin with the left eye. The line is not perfect. The angle is different from your own reflection, and your hand is uncertain in a way it never is on yourself. But Iset holds still, the way you held still when you were small, trusting the hands working close to your eye. You finish the left. You move to the right. When you set the applicator down, she looks like someone whose hands did not have to do this alone. Outside, Memphis is fully waking. The bread cellar, the river, the light of a morning that has decided to begin. Iset reaches out and puts her hand over yours on the table. Her hand is trembling slightly. She does not correct it. The jar sits between you, open. The light comes through the high window and falls across the floor in its familiar column. And somewhere in Memphis, a woman is opening a jar just like this one, drawing the same line, calling it by the same name. Uaju, that which protects. Let your eyes close now. Let the morning have Memphis and the river and all its small decisions. Whatever price you carry, whatever you have decided to pay or not to pay, or to pay differently, it will still be there tomorrow. It will wait. But right now, there is nothing you need to hold. Let it rest. If this story stayed with you, if you found yourself thinking about which price you would pay, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It costs nothing, and it means more than you know. Sleep well.